Hi guys, it's Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to start your video, handover video for your eldest Majestic 105. So it's based on the 64 plate Peugeot Boxer chassis, and I believe the engines be a 2.2 turbo diesel. The paint code here 611, so if you wanted to get this nice silver Fiat colour for whatever reason, that's the code there. Washer fluid, power steering fluid and engine coolant are all over here on the left hand side, as well as your brake fluid attached to the servo down the back, engine oil cap and your engine oil dipstick just here at the front. Your the weight plate that you want to go off is this one just here. So this is your original Peugeot chassis plate, and then you've got your uprated Explorer group, so basically eldest chassis plate just here. So that's the one you want to go off. The air filter sits inside this box just here on the bottom right, and your engine battery itself for the cab sits under the floor in the cab area, so in front of the passenger seat on the floor. So if you want to jump start it, you've got a positive terminal just here for the engine battery and a negative or an earthing point just here at the front, and it does say just here only for jump start. So positive, negative. On the near side just here, we've got your bonnet release cable just inside the passenger door. Your jack and wheel brace kit is inside here underneath the passenger seat, and your fuel filler cap is just there behind that cover. If you want access to your hookup point and your 12 volt or your leisure battery, you're going to have to open up this locker just here. It has got a little groove just here so that you can have a hookup plugged in and completely close the locker and lock it up, which is a typical eldest thing to do. So the hookup's plugged in at the moment, as you can see, and like I say, this is your leisure battery. So this is the battery here, which basically powers up your lights, powers up your pump, etc. And I'll run you through all of that in just a minute. Awning light is on, and there is a specific button on the control panel for that. It just says awning on it. I'm just draining out the wastewater just so that you know, that's why it's getting wet down here on the floor. So this locker just here, as you can see, is the gas locker, and it's actually a really good size gas locker. So you've got space for 2 of these 6 kilo propane bottles in here. If you wanted to use butane, that's not a problem, but all you need to do is change this pigtail hose here for a butane one, because this is a propane. But yeah, so propane's the one that I would recommend to use, because you can use it in colder temperatures. Better all round really, but there you go. So that's your propane tank. Turning it on is anti-clockwise around to the left, turning it off is clockwise around to the right. And you don't need to know anything about this section here. This is all just regulator stuff, essentially just to regulate the pressure and to allow us to test it. So that's that. Huge locker up here. So this really, because it's quite a small vehicle, this really is your kind of wardrobe, or the main, wardrobe space anyway. So that is there. On this near side as well, you've got your freshwater drain off point and your freshwater filling point at the back. Bike rack is just here. It's a 2-bike bike rack. You basically just get that to come down by lifting this handle up here, and it will fold out. Wastewater drain down here on the offside. You've then got your toilet cassette locker. So I've got that open at the moment and the cassette half out, just so I can show you it nice and easily coming in and out. The cassettes are really simple. All you need to know is you physically drain it out from here. So you just take this cap off and drain it from there. When you are actually physically draining it, you should be holding down a little orange tab just there, and then once you finish doing that, fill it up with a cap full of your blue fluid, give it a little swish around and push it all the way back in. You haven't got to worry about any separate flush fluid, because that would normally be just here above, but on this one you've got a freshwater flush in the vehicle. Your 2 vents just here are for your fridge. So if you've got the fridge lit up on gas, which I do at the moment, you can feel nice hot air coming out through this little vent on the top right. and that's because the flame is just down here on the bottom right, comes up through the exhaust and comes out just through there. This vent just here is all to do with your, ouch, that was hot, all to do with your hot water and heating. The heating vents themselves are actually these ones here, to be fair, but it's kind of it's a similar system. They're both Whale appliances, but make sure that you don't touch that because you will burn your fingers like I just did. You can laugh at me about that. Yeah, so this one here is the one for your boiler, basically. So this is your hot water, and then, like I said, you've got your two little ones there, which are for your heating. So, needless to say, be careful when you go to touch that. Right, in the cab, you've got quite a nice spec, actually. So you've got auto lights, so that's the bottom little switch just there. You've got cruise control on this left-hand stalk just here. The 6-speed manual gearbox as opposed to the 5. All of your steering wheel controls, so you've got your source. You can answer and decline phone calls, take phone calls, all that sort of stuff's down there. You've got the ASR button, you've got your air conditioning switch, and the slightly newer style, well, this is all standard, but it's the newer style Peugeot head unit. So I'm just going to shut this door. All right, so once we're on the inside, yeah, I'm just going to shut this one as well. So the main control panel is just this one here as soon as you walk in the habitation door. So it's really, really straightforward how it actually works. And by the way, my hands aren't actually dirty. I think they just look dirty in the camera, but there you go. Right, so all the time that you've got this switched on, there'll be a little level up here telling you how many volts are in your leisure battery. So at the moment, because I'm hooked up on the mains, we've got about 13 volts. So 12 volts, or 11 or 12 volts is a resting battery rate. Anything over that, so closer to 13, is more of a charging rate. So that's exactly right. It's exactly where we want it to be on a hookup. So that's why it's up there on 13. As soon as I press this button just here, which says water, you see the gauge changes, and then we need to look at the bottom scale, which says water. So all the time that I'm holding this button down, it's showing us that we've got about a quarter of a tank of fresh water. So that means that I can pull water through the taps, I can fill the boiler up with water, I can do whatever I want really. I can flush the toilet as well, because, you know, like I said, if you don't have any water in the fresh tank, then you can't really flush the toilet. So that'd be why, you know, that's how that all works. That's why you have to have a little look on there, check how much water you've got in the tank, and then go from there. The other buttons are pretty self-explanatory. You've got a master switch, which does what it says on the tin really. It just basically turns everything on or off. So if I turn that off, all the lights will go off. Anything 12 volt whatsoever will be switched off. Awning, like I said, outside is just the light underneath the awning outside. Lights is all your lights inside. There are obviously individual switches for all the lights. So you've got all of these lights, they've all got their own switches, and then you've got a couple more switches to get nice bright lights in the back here. So that's how you do those. But if you want to just basically, if you want to, you can leave all the lights on, and then just use that switch there to turn the main ones off like that. So it's really up to you how you do it. And the last one is the pump switch. So as soon as you turn that pump switch on, because you've got an inline pump which works on pressure, you should hear it come on for a few seconds and get to pressure and stop. So because I've already turned it on before the video, it's already got to pressure and stopped. So I will have pressure at the tap. So it's just getting a little bit more water in the boiler basically. So the boiler just filling up with a bit more water basically is what that's doing. So boiler or hot water is to the left, cold water to the right. There you go. So just basically running you through that, just showing you that we've got water there. So before you start lighting the boiler up and getting the water hot, you do need to just do that. Make sure that the water's coming through on both hot and cold. If you don't do that, there's not really any way of knowing that the boiler's full or empty. So the reason I'm saying that is in the winter months, I'm just going to open up this cupboard down here. In the winter months, you should really be draining out this boiler here of its water, which is just by turning that little yellow dial there. The reason you need to do that is if you're going to fill that boiler up with water like I've just done there, and then it's going to get to sort of minus temperatures outside, it's going to get pretty cold in here. And if that boiler's water freezes up inside of it, it will expand and it will crack, basically, which is then, you know, it's the most expensive part in the van and it's the last thing you want to go wrong. So just making sure that you drain that out if you're not going to be using it through the winter months is really important. And if you have drained it out, then obviously you need to fill it back up again by doing what I've just shown you up there. It's really not, you know, it's not a difficult sort of process. It doesn't take 2 minutes. I literally just ran through here just before the video and started it all out. It doesn't take long, but there you go. So that is the boiler. The way to actually use the boiler is, it couldn't be any easier in my opinion. So you've got the Whale water heating and space heating in here. So if you want to use it on the gas, all you have to do is turn this little left-hand dial on, and as soon as the gas lights up, you get a little green light. Sorry about my shaky hand, by the way. I'm trying my best not to. So as soon as that lights up, we'll get a little green light. There you go. So the green light tells you that the flame is on. Okay, and then that means don't put your hand on the vent like I did. So that is literally all you have to do to get the hot water to come on via the gas. If you are in a bit of a hurry for the hot water and you also have a hookup cable plugged in, you can also go 1 or 2 on the electric side as well. And obviously you can use these both separately if you want to. You can use one or the other, but like I say, if you are in a real hurry for it and you have got the hookup plugged in as well, you can use 1 or 2 electric as well if you want to. Vice versa, if you don't have any gas, you know, if you've run out of gas but you do have a hookup plugged in, just use the hookup. You know, it might take half an hour to an hour or so, but it still works. So that's your water heating, just off that little section just there. The space heating is these two just here. Again, couldn't really be much easier in my opinion. A lot more sort of easily laid out than the Truma systems, just as reliable, but just a little bit easier to use in my opinion. So you've got the room temperature dial just here, which again is as simple as that. You just literally set your temperature. I know there's not any sort of physical numbers on there, but you'll get the gist of it. When it turns itself off, you'll know, you know, if you want it to be warmer in there, just turn it up a little bit basically. So that's your room temperature one on the right. Again, you can use this on gas or electric. So you've got a gas symbol down here. So if I go all the way down to the bottom, we should get another green light come on when the gas lights up on the space heater. But basically, all the way down to the bottom here is gas. So like I said, it will light up on gas, and then you'll just start getting a fan running and it will pump hot air around the vehicle until it gets to your desired room temperature. So let's just wait for that green light to come on. Should come on any second now. There you go. So it really is as simple as that. After about 5 minutes or so, this whole van will be nice and warm. There's small circular vents around the vehicle. There's one down there. There'll be one in the bathroom. There's one down here. And because it's blown air heating and because it's a really, you know, a good quality motorhome, you've got, not only is it blown air coming from one place, it's actually being split off to various places in the vehicle. And I mean, I know that it's a small van, but it does make all the difference. So you've got another one in the bathroom there, look, as well. So it does make all the difference to keeping it all nice and warm. You know, you don't get any cold parts and hot parts. It's all nice and even. So that's how you heat the van up on the gas. If you don't want to use the gas, or if you don't have any gas, but you do have a hookup cable plugged in, you can also heat the van up via the electric, which is just as easy as the water heating side of things. But you literally just choose 1, 2, or 3, and like I said, it is as easy as that. The only thing you have to be careful of, now this might, I don't know if you've had a motorhome before, you might get this straight away, but so if you're at a campsite and you've plugged into a 10 amp pole, so you've plugged your hookup cable into the van and then you've plugged it into a 10 amp pole, for example, it might be 10 amp, it might be 13 amp, it might be 16 amp, I don't know, but if you're plugged into a 10 amp, just be careful when you're using this on the electric. Reason being, if you go all the way up to 3, you're straight away using about 8 amps. 1 is about 2.5, 2 is about 4.5 amps. So if you go up to 3 just there, like that, I'm plugged into the mains at the moment, I'm plugged into a 13 amp plug. So at the moment, I've got 8 amps being drawn from there. I've probably got half an amp being drawn from the battery charger. And then if I go to use the microwave or something like that, for example, it's going to overload it. All right. So just be careful. If I was you, I would just stick to 1 or 2 if you're going to use it on electric, because 3 is a bit over the top, really. It's a bit overkill. So yeah, that's that. I just thought I'd let you know that, just in case you trip the mains. It's not the end of the world. It should just trip the pole outside if you overload it, but it just means you have to run outside. So right, so that is your heating and hot water system just there. The 3-burner hob, well, it's kind of a 4-burner, but it's 3 gas burners and an electric hot ring. So the electric hot ring only works when your mains cable is plugged in. So when you turn this dial just here, if your hookup's plugged in, that light will come on just there, telling you that the actual hot plate is working. The 3 burners just here, I believe you're going to need to have a clicker or igniter to light these up, because the original, if it had a cooker down here, the button would have been on the cooker, I think, to light those up. So you will need a lighter or something to do those. Just make sure there's nothing I'm missing at the top before I carry on. Okay, so that's that. I don't really need to show you them working. It's just like any household cooker, to be honest. No different. This cupboard down here has got a couple of plugs in it, which would probably be for the microwave and the plug for the hot plate. The microwave, again, it's just a household microwave, really. It's nothing different. So again, I don't feel like I need to show you how to use that, but it is all working. This cupboard down here is really important. So you've got your gas isolators here. So the bottom one there is for the fridge. The middle one is for your burners at the top. So if you needed to isolate the gas from either of those appliances, you just literally, I'll show you on the top one because that's not actually being used. All you have to do to isolate it is do that. Now this pipe just here is completely isolated from the gas that comes up from here. All right. So you shouldn't ever need to do that unless you think there's a gas leak or something. Basically, don't just do it for any other reason. Turning the gas off from the bottle is plenty if you're worried about something but you don't need to use all the appliances. Just turn the bottle off and get in touch with us. So the fridge is the last sort of appliance I need to run you through. It's a 3-way fridge, which, as you can probably imagine, means it works in 3 different ways. So you've got gas, which is what it's on now, 12 volt, which is for when your engine's running and you're driving, and mains, when you're plugged in on the mains. So if I turn this off now, if you just watch this little green bar here. So when I turned it off from the gas, that little green bar there with the gas symbol next to it went all the way back down into the little clear white section. So what that means is that the flame has gone out. So this little indicator here is basically just a flame gauge, if you like. So at the moment I've got the gas turned on and I've got the mains cable plugged in. So if I want to use it on the mains, all I have to do is turn the switch just there to mains. The light comes up on the inside just telling you that it's working, and that's it. You can literally just leave that for, it'll probably take 3 hours or so to get cold, same for the gas, but you leave it. That's it. That's all you have to do. If you don't want to use the mains, but you do want to use the gas, you go all the way down to the bottom. At the moment, when you've gone down to there, that's not done anything at all apart from allow you to light the gas up. All right, so then all you have to do, you've got a button just here and this dial here. All right, so all you need to do, push in on the dial and the button at the same time. And when you're doing that, just watch this little scale here. So I'm going to do that now. So you can just see, it takes a little while. Once it's already been on for a bit, it does take a while. But you can see, it's a little bit awkward to see, but you can see the little orange bar there slowly going up into the green. All right, so again, like I said, all that means is the gas is lit. As soon as that goes up into the green, you can know for a fact that it's lit. You can obviously as well go around to the outside if you want to and just put your hand over that vent there and double check there's a little bit of warm air coming out. You won't burn your hand like I did. You won't burn your hand like I did out there on that. It's not that hot, but there you go. The gas and the mains are the only two ways that you'll get this fridge cold by themselves. So before you go away on holiday, for example, you need to pre-cool the fridge either on the mains or the gas, and then literally just switch over to 12 volt here when you start the engine up and start driving. The 12 volt only holds the temperature that you put in it, and it's the only way that you can run the fridge whilst you're driving. So you just use that when you're driving, and then when you stop and, you know, set up, put it back on one of these two, and that is it. So that is your fridge. In the wardrobe, again, a really nice size wardrobe. You've got your standalone table just here. Your paperwork for the vehicle is there with the name of the van on it, so you don't get it confused. And the original carpets are in here as well. They all popper down onto the little poppers there that are dotted around the vehicle, so you can just sort of work out where they go. That's that. And then the last bit is the bathroom. The light switch for the bathroom's just here on the right outside the door. It's quite simple, really. I don't feel like I need to show you anything in here apart from the toilet, really, because it's just literally mixer tap left and right for hot and cold. So the toilet is just as simple, but if you haven't used one before, I don't expect you to know how to use it. So you've basically just got two things to remember. So you've got this button at the top here, which when you press that, it pumps the water around for the flush. So if you watch that, a little bit of dirt in there. It's just the water in the tank there. And then if you want to drain it out into the cassette, open this flap. It drains into the cassette, and then close the flap back over. And that really is it. That's all you have to do. So I think I've pretty much covered everything I can. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you'd like going through again, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.